DP-300 Administering Relational Databases on Microsoft Azure Exam. Updated questions are a valuable resource for you to study. Share some Microsoft DP-300 exam dumps questions here. 1. You are evaluating the business goals. Which feature should you use to provide customers with the required level of access based on their service agreement? A. Dynamic data masking. B. Conditional access in Azure. C. Service principals. D. Row-level security, RLS. 2. What should you do after a failover of Sales SQL DB1 to ensure that the database remains accessible to Sales SQL DB1 App 1? A. Configure Sales SQL DB1 as writable. B. Update the connection strings of Sales SQL DB1 App 1. C. Update the firewall rules of Sales SQL DB1. D. Update the users in Sales SQL DB1. 3. What should you implement to meet the disaster recovery requirements for the PAUSE solution? A. Availability zones. B. Failover groups. C. Always-on availability groups. D. Geo-replication. 4. What should you use to migrate the PostgreSQL database? A. Azure Data Box. B. AzCopy. C. Azure Database Migration Service. D. Azure Site Recovery. 5. Which audit log destination should you use to meet the monitoring requirements? A. Azure Storage. B. Azure Event Hubs. C. Azure Log Analytics. 6. You need to implement a solution to notify the administrators. The solution must meet the monitoring requirements. What should you do? A. Create an Azure Monitor Alert rule that has a static threshold and assign the alert rule to an action group. B. Add a diagnostic setting that logs query store runtime statistics and streams to an Azure Event Hub. C. Add a diagnostic setting that logs timeouts and streams to an Azure Event Hub. D. Create an Azure Monitor Alert rule that has a dynamic threshold and assign the alert rule to an action group. 7. You need to design a data retention solution for the Twitter feed data records. The solution must meet the customer sentiment analytics requirements. Which Azure storage functionality should you include in the solution? A. Time-based retention. B. Change feed. C. Lifecycle management. D. Soft delete. 8. You need to implement the surrogate key for the retail store table. The solution must meet the sales transaction dataset requirements. What should you create? A. A table that has a foreign key constraint. B. A table that has an identity property. C. A user-defined sequence object. D. A system-versioned temporal table. 9. You are designing a security model for an Azure Synapse Analytics dedicated SQL pool that will support multiple companies. You need to ensure that users from each company can view only the data of their respective company. Which two objects should you include in the solution? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Note: each correct selection is worth 1 point. A. A column encryption key. B. Asymmetric keys. C. A function. D. A custom role-based access control, RBAC, role. E. A security policy. 10. You have an Azure SQL Database server named SQL SRv1 that hosts 10 Azure SQL databases. The databases perform slower than expected. You need to identify whether the performance issue relates to the use of tempdb on SQL SRv1. What should you do? A. Run query store-based queries. B. Review information provided by SQL Server Profiler-based traces. C. Review information provided by Query Performance Insight. D. Run dynamic management view-based queries.